Welcome to Season 3, Episode 8 of the Me and ADHD podcast. In today's episode, I'm having a conversation with the founder of Calm Nest Collective, Nika Brunet, about the creations that are transforming the events industry by making them more neuro-inclusive. So welcome, Nika. How are you
Hey,
today?
thank you. Thank you. Feeling good, and I'm really happy to be a part of this podcast.
Excellent. It's really nice to have you here. It's a little bit different, I guess, topic that I'm used to doing, but I think it's something it's definitely worth talking about and highlighting, that there is changes coming, you know, and things that I guess people are starting to understand more, and be open to more inclusivity, which is a good thing. So, in a nutshell, then, what is the Calm Nest Collective? Just very brief.
Yeah, very briefly, it's a startup that is focusing on designing quiet sensory rooms for events, workplaces, public spaces. We also do some consultancy work, also on sustainability bit. So that's very, very briefly, the fastest I can
Cool.
do it.
No, that's I mean that sounds really interesting. And would you say, are you the only person or the only company sort of doing this kind of thing? You are.
No, I would not say I'm the only company. We do. I mean, there are certainly other companies in this business. However, in Europe, this is really. I think we're more or less the only ones with this concept.
Okay.
I would say, yeah. Um,
So what would you say is your motivation then to to create the Calm Nest Collective?
oh, this is going to be a longer answer because I have to go back to the roots
Oh yeah,
because
we can
I'm
get into it
actually.
now, which is good. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm actually a social worker by profession, and I worked just very briefly as a social worker. Then spent 7 years in really purely corporate industry and another 11 in events industry. I always thought that events is like my home, and I still consider it a bit of my home because I did spend a big portion of my life there, and I did meet a lot of amazing people, and I do have so many friends there, and it's still something that I'm very passionate doing: event management, sustainability management on events. These are my real passions. However, during COVID and right after COVID, I noticed um, how actually what kind of influence this had on my colleagues and myself included, or my family included, how big the impact was, and how people really started to struggle because the events industry is a freelance industry, so most of us are freelancers in one way or another. There is huge stigma around mental health still, and nobody wants to talk about it. However, it was clear that people are struggling with stress, with with burnout, and everything. It was not good. Let's put it like this. It was not, and it is still not good. I think there's the whole idea that this could potentially happen again, and that now we know we are depending actually on somebody else's decisions. It's very stressful. And I started working on my PhD, which is also something I picked up during COVID, because obviously I had really a lot of time on my hands because there was no festivals. Um, and I started researching mental health within the events industry. My focus was not really the artists, to be honest, but more like the backdoor workers. So riggers, production crew, everything that makes the event running, but it's not necessarily on stage. So yeah, and I did a qualitative analysis. There was a big questionnaire online for a while. I got really a lot of answers, and the results were obviously shocking. So it was even worse than I thought it is, or I thought it was. And I the final nudge, or the final kick in the butt, however you want to call it, was actually having a first-hand experience on the festival side, where one of my colleagues basically burned out completely. And strongly believe in 99% that if we had an option to facilitate a quiet sensory room at the time, this would not be happening.
Yeah.
So that was the basis, the long story short, to found Calmness Collective. And for me, Honestly, this means really coming full circle because now I finally know what I'm meant to be doing on this planet. It is still in events, at least a little bit, but it's definitely people. So yeah, we made a concept piloted it, and of course the first event was an amazing success, and I got so many positive feedbacks that it just gave me a final confirmation that this is really it.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Now, obviously, it's neuro inclusive. Are you neurodivergent yourself?
Yes, I have ADHD as well.
So, do you think your own experience with ADHD then has given you a better insight into what to focus the needs on?
Yeah, I'm one of those who was late diagnosed, and I always had this feeling that maybe I'm just having a different perception of an event than somebody else. Why am I always tired after half of the conference? Why am I tired when I meet with so many people? Why do I feel like my head is buzzing? Why do I have to catch a breather? I have to step outside. Why do I always end up disappearing into the hotel if the event doesn't have a space to calm down just in the middle of an event? So, and I thought maybe this is normal. And then I started just looking at other people or talking to them, and it was like, no, maybe there is something about it. So yeah, I think that we are. I mean, I'm going to be talking about events because this is or was my home for such a long time. So this is the easiest way for me to explain. But we can expand it to workplaces, public spaces, offices, schools, whatever we want to talk about. However, at events, I think that it's even amplified. Everything is amplified.
Okay. So, so why? So you're doing all these things and creating these spaces. So why isn't like a room with a table, chairs, a kettle, and some coffee and biscuits? Why isn't that good enough?
Well, I love biscuits. Kettle and tea is also fine. However, I mean, the fact that the people are trying to do something is already a bit. I don't think I'm not the person that wants to turn the industry upside down. So doing something is already a little bit. However, don't please don't call it a quiet sensory room because this is not. It's not. It's just maybe a lounge or maybe a coffee place or something, closed coffee space. Um, Quiet sensory rooms are a little bit different, and also the aim is different. And the idea is, of course, to calm a person down or to basically to make you feel at home, to make you feel coming back to yourself in a very short amount of time. And this is what sensory rooms basically do. It's not just the room basically offers the kettle room, the coffee room, whatever you want to call it, offers a physical rest. You can have a chat maybe there, but it doesn't address overstimulation. And it doesn't, of course, consider how people with sensory processing difficulties like ADHD, autism, chronic stress process their surroundings. So,
Yeah,
yeah, you're not
yeah,
really resetting. You're sitting on a coffee, but you're not resetting in a way.
yeah. No, no, absolutely. I know. I get that. I mean, what do you say would you need in the quiet sensory room to? I mean, I for myself, I have ADHD and I get overwhelmed sort of quite easily. With a lot of noise, a lot of things going on. So sensory issues there. So what sort of things would you include then?
Definitely things that tackle all your senses. So in terms of lighting, like dimmable lights, warm toned lights, no fluorescent lights at all, um, no LED lights as well, if possible. We have a sensory cube light which emits various light frequencies out as well. So in terms of sound, you would either want to have soundproofing panels inside or sound absorbing panels inside the room, which we have. We also have silent proofing headphones. So some people just want to sit in silence, and this is what we offer. And we also offer, for example, binaural therapy bits on headphones as well, which is also a special technique for basically calming your brain.
Okay.
We have various furniture, bean bags, rocking chairs, hammocks, whatever works on whatever the environment. So obviously, furniture is a little bit different whether the room is set up on a festival or outdoor event, or if it is a permanent space in an office, it could be different. Um, and then there are also various sensory tools like weighted blankets, fidget toys, zoning options are also is also one amazing thing. Some people want to sit, some people want to lay down, some people want to stand. It's very different from a person to person. And some people also want to talk. Some people want to sit, like I said, in silence or lay down. And everything is completely fine. It's just how you feel, whatever you feel like doing. And what's also the thing with our spaces is that they are staffed. So we always offer trained mental health first aiders on site, and
Okay.
people that are trained in safeguarding as well. So because I think, as I said, some people want to have a conversation in order to distress, decompress. So yeah, it's various techniques, but I think they work really well complementary.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, would you say it's, I know it said it's neuro inclusive, but is it for anybody who wants to come
It
and,
is for everybody, yeah.
yeah.
Basically, the sensory rooms, I don't know how much you know the background. This is basically coming from medicine. It was actually invented in the Netherlands, I think in the 70s. And it was the first sensory rooms were designed for people with autism, for children with autism, basically. And it's expanded from there, really. But absolutely, our rooms, to be honest, on our pilot space, I think there were just two people that actually were diagnosed, one with ADHD and one with autism, and everybody else were just, yeah, neurotypical people that loved it.
Okay, so when you go to an event, or I guess when you're asked to go to an event, do you sort of discuss the this concept beforehand, and
Yeah.
what sort of approach do you have?
So ideally, this would happen very early in planning. And of course, as I said, it's different if it is a music festival with an outdoor setting or if it is an indoor event. Things that are important are, besides the size of the event, how many people are expected. And then generally, you're then mapping out also the environment perspective. Where is the noise coming from? Where do people go if they're overwhelmed over the noise? Because as I said, most of the events, unfortunately, and particularly indoor events, are not designed with this in mind. So if you want to find a quiet corner and maybe even sit there, it's very hard. There is a lot of, as I said, noise, light coming from everywhere. So it's a challenging thing. But these are typically the things that we assess at the very first beginning, and ideally very early in the planning stage.
Okay. Do you put different things in at different events? As in
Uh,
like the different types, be it the bean bags or the lighting and
Yeah, it depends what we can facilitate. We do have some partners. For example, for the festivals, we're partnering with a company that does outdoor tents, very beautiful ones, by the way. So it's a little bit different based on a concept, and the size of the event is also a bigger factor. Sometimes we would want to suggest to have more places on a very if it's the event is big, it doesn't make sense to have only one space like this because you have to probably walk for I don't know, half an hour just to get to the space. So smaller all around the event are a better solution, for example. So yeah.
okay. So with those, how long does it take to set up then? So obviously the whole event's going to take a while to set up, but the actual quiet space that you're providing, is
Yeah.
that just a very quick job to put up, or does it take a few days, or
Um, Again, depends. For an outdoor event, we would work together with the company providing the tent, whether this is our partner or festival partner or event partner. So it's depending on them to set it up. And on us, then, for example, about 17, 15 square meters of space would get equipped in about 7 hours, 8 hours, depends. But depends on the design. We do take quite a lot of, we do put quite a lot of attention to it. And then on the indoor event, it is the same. If we are also building the space, so if there is like a dome or because we are also in some events, we also have partners that are actually building. If it is a big, for example, fair area or a big hall, and then you need to build a space within the space, like you're building also a structure, that takes longer
Yeah.
because we're only taking care of the inside thing, and they're building the rest. This takes usually longer. But if it's a room that's dedicated, already an existing room, then it's about 7 to 8 hours. It's usually enough for getting it up.
Okay. So, I mean, you mentioned a little while ago about you had some mental health first aiders there as well.
Mm-hmm.
What are there any other sort of expertise that you use to design and I guess put into this, I guess, a holistic approach to the well-being of people who use the facilities?
Yeah, of course, there is. I'm also trained in nature-based therapy, and I'm also a horticultural therapist. So I do focus a lot on plants. If it's possible, and if I'm able to get my hands on, I always rent real plants. Most of the spaces you will see are with artificial plants. But if I can rent it out, I would always put real plants inside because they just have the magic, and it's like that final touch that they have.
Yeah.
However, the frameworks that we operate on are, of course, therapeutic tools, mental health frameworks, obviously, and then just event and workplace design if you are setting up in one of those. So there are a lot of things to consider, but I think for me, because I am a bit of a nature freak and I love nature, and for example, I'm also a certified breathwork teacher, so I can use also or can facilitate also these kind of things inside if it is needed. Some people, sometimes it helps them just to have like a quick 2-3 minute session, like a breathwork session, just to reset and to calm down, basically.
What's the breathwork session about? I've not heard of that before.
These are basically breathing techniques. You have various breathing techniques that impact your body in various ways. You can lift up your mood. You can calm yourself down. You can raise your mood higher. You can raise your heartbeat even. Mostly, it's used for calming a person down. So you have certain techniques to very quickly distress, for example, or just to like 2-3-4 breathing or square breathing, things like this. There are various techniques, but it usually just takes a few minutes and you'll calm yourself down.
Cool. Okay. No. Okay. Yeah, I get that. I guess it's under like the mindfulness kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. Do you find that many people use that within the events that you do?
Um, First thing that you'll notice when somebody comes into this kind of space is like a big sigh. That's the first thing that usually happens.
Yeah.
And that is just because you came from a very loud, sensory, overwhelming environment to something that is just, doesn't have this impact on you. And this is the first thing. This is your body telling you, okay, I'm safe now. I can actually catch a breather and nothing will happen to me. I can really relax. So this is the first thing that usually happens. And then some people, for example, we had this as well. Usually they just do like a few deep breaths, quick breath in, long breath out, just to really, but this happens very subconsciously even. You don't even know you're doing this. But this is your body just relaxing because it feels safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I do that when I go from like a busy environment when it gets nice and quiet. It's that deep breath. It's like, okay, it's
Yeah,
over
yeah, yeah,
now. It's
yeah,
okay now.
yeah. That's what you do. I mean, we do that subconsciously. This is not trained, obviously, but it's even with children. You can notice this as well. So the heart, or even with children, it's even a little bit more noticeable because they do have faster heartbeat in general or higher heartbeat, and their breaths are shorter and quicker. So you can see it even more visibly when they start breathing more shallow and it's more more calm. It's even more visible.
Yeah. Do you so you know you do the events. Can you do this kind of thing and put this thing at home in the home at all? Is that
Yeah, of course you could. Yeah. I would. I mean, there's not to be honest, the investment is not that big. The only challenge maybe would be to get a quiet space in a family home.
yeah.
But even that, I mean, if you can physically get the space where, I don't know, your children are not disturbing you, for example, at least for a few moments, you can do it pretty well with the soundproofing headphones. You just close your eyes, or maybe put something over your eyes. And yeah, there you can, of course, aromatherapy, lightning. There's a lot that can be done and not on a big investment. So yeah, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's something that I think a lot of people starting to play with now. The whole mindfulness aspect of, um, what support, I guess, mechanisms that we put in place to help ourselves, to calm ourselves down, to help to slow the mind down, and but this the whole concept that you're doing and having it in, let's face it, a place that is absolutely sensory overload for a lot of people, is a great thing. And I know, all credit to you. I think it's a really good thing, and in the, directed in the best place. There's a lot of people there. There's going to be a lot of people who's going to be overwhelmed and just need to get out of that kind of, that noisy, busy environment for even just a short while, just to recuperate.
Yeah, and I always tell the event organizer, because I think that UK is a little bit more advanced still, but I think in Europe there is still, we're a little bit behind, like usual with everything. But the latest numbers by research is that 25% of population has some kind of sensory processing difficulty. So ultimately, what this means for schools, for public spaces, and even for events, if you wanna, if since this is my focus, um, what this literally means for an event organizer is that you could potentially be missing on 25% of your population, and
Yeah,
ultimately those people might not come to your event, or they might leave early. And if we want to turn this into numbers, you can calculate yourself what the impact is, what potentially could be. So it's a huge revenue thing as well, if we want to make it into a return on investment thing. So, but also for schools, for example, I really, really, really believe deeply that something like this, not necessarily ours, but some kind of space for some kind of space, sensory safe space, belongs into every school.
yeah,
um, it's very needed.
yeah. No, absolutely. And it's it's one of those things where when you find out you're neurodivergent, be it ADHD or autistic, whatever it may be, you tend to have a deep dive into working things out and what are your triggers, and why do you start feeling this way at certain times, and you start to make sense of everything. When you're not that, you just don't, you just crack on with things, and you
Mm,
just, before I got diagnosed, everything was just normal. Everything I felt was just normal. I was just not as good as everybody else was dealing with it. But it wasn't until I sort of found out, started sort of doing my own research and all that, then you start putting things together and realizing that, so now this is why, after I've been with a lot of people, or I've been out and I've been doing a lot of talk, I need space on my own in the quiet. And it's not just I'm a boring git and I want to get away from everyone. Actually, I need to recuperate because my mind is shot. And you start working things out and putting it all together, and there's going to be a lot of people out there who are going to be in the same boat. That's fine. They haven't thought about the neurodiverse kind of aspect of their life, or potentially having a neurodivergent condition. But if they start to think about things, why do they feel this way? Why do they need this? Why do they need that in their life? Why, it's things start to make sense, and then you can put things into place which will make you feel better, which you'll be able to make you feel or I guess recuperate quicker, you
Of
know.
course.
And I think it's important that people should start to have a bit more self-awareness, and they realize that things like this, what you're doing, is key for a lot of people. A
Yeah.
lot of people wouldn't even thought about it.
Yeah, but that's what happened with our first pilot project. I told you that there were not a lot of neuroscience or sensory process people that are have any kind of sensory processing difficulty or neurodiverse, but just the whole idea was like, oh my God, because for example, we're in the 21st century, and it breaks my heart when I'm hearing people telling me they work in an office in a very corporate environment, and when they need to catch a breather or distress, they actually go on a toilet and lock themselves in just to be able to get a break. I mean, come on, we have to do better than that. We can facilitate all of this. It just takes a little bit of a redesign of your office. And it's not a big investment, just considering how many people you're actually helping in a way, and what this means for your team and what it means for your office and everything, so it's or event in that matter as well. So the whole idea is, and I'm really really happy that finally people are starting to talk about this, because 10 years ago I'm not sure if you and me would have this kind of conversation, most likely not.
Yeah, no, probably
um,
wouldn't. Absolutely.
and I'm really happy that even within the events industry there is more talking about this, and what we need and how we can actually facilitate everybody, because it doesn't we really don't have to be as exclusive as we are at the moment. And exclusion is really big factor. And I personally know people who don't want to go. They don't want to go to the airport because it's too much for them. They
Yeah.
rather travel by train over whole Europe, because train stations are a little bit more quiet and they don't have to go to the security check. And it's true. It is true. And next time when you hear some child screaming at a security check, it's not him or her or whatever. It's just that the system is not made for this, for us, for people with any for people that have anything not normal or not typical. Let's put it like this. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
true. Um, and
Yeah.
yeah, it can be very triggering. And we are adults and we can handle things a little bit differently. But for a child, it's a nightmare. I understand it completely. 10 years ago, as I said, maybe we wouldn't have this conversation, but it's great that we are having it now. And we should be talking about this, no matter the stigma, no matter the whatever. Really, do speak out and just come to your boss or whomever. Do disclose, because it's really helping also others, or even younger generation that's coming after us. They're gonna have a better way, better paved way in front of them.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We do need to keep talking about it. I mean, you can say what you like about sort of social media, and I'm on the fence because sometimes social media is great, sometimes it's just bad. But at the very least, it's got people talking. It's allowed people to talk. This podcast is basically because of social media, you know. Um, so it's really key to keep the conversation going,
Hmm.
um, and get the information out there, and making people realize that there are, you don't have to have a diagnosis to do things, but you can just, have more self awareness about your own struggles, whatever they may be, and have a look at what you can put in place to help with those things. And it might be really small, simple little things you can do, but that can make a huge difference to your life, to your, be
Hmm.
it at work, be
Absolutely.
it social, be it family. It can make a massive difference.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So we just got to learn to stop and think, and start asking questions about, why do I struggle with this? Why am I a
Hmm.
bit too much there? Why am I can't cope with this? It's just asking those questions to yourself and then sort of working out what the answers possibly could be, and then, you know, make life easier for yourself.
Yeah, it's true. The only problem is that the world is not designed for us to be taking too much time on our own,
Well,
because
yeah,
you have
yeah,
so much input and everything is moving constantly. And by the evening, you're so tired already, you just want to go to bed and you don't want to think about anything else, not even yourself. So,
yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Absolutely, absolutely.
but I
I mean,
definitely agree with you. Yeah,
yeah.
we
I
should
mean,
be focusing more on ourselves, way more than we do now.
yeah. You said a bit earlier about the work environment, and I think it's a really good thing that the bosses, the company bosses, directors start looking at that, because they look so hard at people's sick leave, how often they're away, not about why,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't look at what they can do to help and to reduce those amount of sick days people have.
Yeah.
And having something like this in the workplace can only can only help. It can only be a positive thing.
Oh yeah, and this is also researched already. I think at Byron, the company that's making medicines, it's there was a research on this, and the numbers are astonishing. I think it's the absenteeism due to the work due to the sick leave was lowered by 63%. You know what? 63% on a number scale. This is massive. Not just for the
Yeah,
company, but also for the government paying for the sick leaves.
yeah, yeah,
So this is a country level thing. Burnout rates went down, everything. And it's just a simple intervention. It's, as I said, you don't have to turn your office upside down. You can if you want to, of course, but it's not necessary. You can really, there is not a lot needed. And it's not such a big investment, particularly not long term.
yeah. I say, when you look at I guess the negative side of things, when if you don't do anything about it, look at the days and the figures and the money and everything that you're losing
Yeah.
by creating a workplace that people just can't keep going to, because it's either through sort of burnout, stress, or illnesses, and you know, um, no one wants to put that extra effort into a workplace that doesn't really support them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, but yeah, it's we've got a long way to go, but it's things are changing. We are having that conversation, which is great.
I think baby steps. I think we've made quite a few steps already in a good way. Not everywhere, not with everybody, but things are moving. And I can just add for a company side, the marketing perspective, you're going to position yourself as a company that cares.
Yeah,
And this is invaluable on a marketing scale.
yeah,
There's no better branding than that.
yeah. If you say it, you live it, you do it, you show it. You know, everyone wants to work for a company who cares, who's going to look after them.
Mm,
Because I know I don't. I'm sick of working for companies that don't look after you.
yeah.
Uh, so that can make a massive difference. So where can people find you then? All this
Oh,
information.
we have a website, calmnesscollective.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn under the same name, Instagram, and I'm also everywhere. And I'm quite vocal, so I'm quite easy to be spotted.
That's brilliant. I mean, I'll put the links on the podcast right up, so
Mm.
people can contact you for information, go to the website, follow your social media. Um, but I
Yeah,
think it's
and we do work globally. That's also one important bit. So we do have local partners for the furniture. Furniture is also sustainably made or upcycled, which is something that we're very proud of. So we do have
okay.
quite a few local partners, but we do work globally, which is great.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. So that will cover all the listeners that I have then. So yeah. I mean that's a good thing, because you've got you can your stretch is quite, or your reach even is quite significant, and people can use you from wherever countries, putting events on, which is great.
Yeah.
Um, okay, this has been, again, it's been an interesting conversation, because I think we don't have these. I talk about ADHD a lot on the podcast, weirdly enough, because it's called Me and ADHD. But it's also nice to talk about the things that are going on that could help people with
Yeah.
ADHD, and not just them, but also or anybody, and not just neurodivergent people. But again, it's conversations like this that needs to keep on happening, and I'll keep on doing these conversations as well. I think it's great. It's been lovely to talk with you.
Yeah. Thank you so
It was,
much. Yeah,
It's
I think that for us it's more about, not even that much about a brand. And I really hope that I will get a lot of competition soon, because this would mean that I'm moving into the right direction and that people need this kind of solutions. That's my goal. However, for us it's just spreading the word, like you've said, that people at least know that this kind of solutions exist, because people just don't know.
yeah,
It's like a catch-22. I don't know if you ever caught yourself in this, but people that have issues, any kind of issues in sensory processing or anything, burnout, stress, whatever, they don't want to talk about this for whatever reason. And people that could do something about it don't even know something's wrong because nobody talks about it. So it's very important to spread the word that, hey, this, if you need something like this, solutions exist. Do help people. Do make your event, do make your office, do make your school inclusive, because you are, after all, really missing out on a 25% of your population.
yeah, yeah.
25% of the population doesn't feel welcome at your office. It's a huge number.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's significant.
Yeah.
So things do need to change, and I'm glad things starting to change, which is great. I mean, if we go back sort of 20, 30 years ago, when people started to try and talk about sort of mental health and depression, it didn't really take off, so to speak, regarding a conversation in society. It was still, that stigma just held it down. But I think with like the social media aspect of stuff now, it's easier to talk, it's easier to get the word out, and the conversation is speeding up and it's getting,
Yeah, that's what, like you've said, that's one bit of social media that I really like. I don't like it in general, but this
yeah,
bit I do love. I hate that everybody has that people are just writing things that would never say to you in person just because it's social media and they're hidden in a way.
yeah,
But I do take a different approach, and I think that this, just being vocal about what you are passionate about and what you're experiencing, it's not for everybody. But I do think, because I do have two kids which are already in their 20s, and they are, the younger generation is better. We really suck at it with speaking about what's wrong with us, and what do we need and how we can facilitate your needs. We are so bad at this.
what do you mean,
And
what do you mean we? You saying I'm not a part of the younger generation?
you are, maybe. I'm not.
I wish I
You
was. I
might
wish I
be.
was.
No, but for example, for my kids, and I think this is actually great, they're more open. And it's not just them. I can also speak with their friends, for example. They're more open about what's going on. How do they feel? They went to the doctor. Why did they talk to the doctor? And so on. So it's more open for us. And I come even from a ex-communist country. I'm born in Eastern Europe. So we didn't speak anything. Nobody was talking about anything. It was like, so UK, but on 10th of potency. So
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's horrible. And now when I'm rolling back my movie to the childhood, I can guarantee you that half of our parents were crazy in one way or another. Crazy in brackets, of course, but they had something going on. You know what I mean? But this was just, yeah, I mean, good luck if you went to the doctor. God forbid anybody knew something that you went or something. It was like a
yeah,
stigma on stigma on stigma on stigma, and people were suffering and probably still are to this day.
yeah,
And there is no
absolutely.
need for that. Absolutely, there is. Yeah. So this is the good bit of social media,
Yeah,
definitely.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, it's been great having you here. It's been
Thank you.
great. Again, it's been great having the conversation. We're going to keep on doing it. It'd be nice if people, any of the listeners, got any questions, by all means, put a question on the podcast, and we'll get back to you. But I'll put all the details.
Yeah. If you
We've
need
got the
anything
links.
else
Yeah,
from me, just let me know. I'm happy to help. And let's keep the conversation going. Really, this is what actually makes my heart happy. That we are talking about things finally.
yes, yes. Um, as always, guys, thank you for listening. Be good, be kind, and remember, you're not alone. Thank you.
Thank you.